Hello and welcome to another live broadcast. So here we go. Let me just get all the comments sorted here. There we go. All right, so if you just joined us, we're talking about rainwater soakaway kits. Rainwater soakaway kits. That's what we're talking about today. So what is a rainwater soakaway kit? Well, that's a very good question, and I'm going to tell you after I've had a quick drink of water, because it's a very hot day. Oh, there you go. That's better. That's refreshing. So we're talking about rainwater soakaway kits, right? Now, rainwater soakaway kit basically has two functions. Okay, so imagine that the rain comes down off your roof like so. And so what happens then when the rain comes down, it makes its way down your guttering, your downpipe. Okay, so then what happens is the rainwater, higher Milky, the rainwater then goes into something called a bottle gully, which looks like so. That's what a bottle gully looks like. And then from there, the bottle gully makes its way down into something called a rainwater soakaway. So this is typically what a rainwater soakaway looks like. So these are the rainwater crates. This is pretty much what they look like. And basically how it works is that the rainwater, as I said, that falls onto the roof literally comes down from here and then makes its way into the rainwater crates. That's basically how it works. So, you know, 1 minute they're empty, then the next minute they're not. So if I just show you here, if I just come back up a minute, so there you go. So that's pretty much the path that the rainwater actually takes. So it comes down to the pipe here, and it makes its way into something called rainwater crates. So that's basically okay. But why? All right. So for the simple fact of some people, well, I'll show you. Some people struggle with boggy gardens because the rainwater goes into the ground, or they have too much rain and it actually saturates the ground like so. So when that happens, the rainwater crates have two functions. They can, in the summer, they take the rainwater off the roof, they can go into the crates, and they can water your parched garden. In the winter, when we suffer from waterlogged gardens like so imagine that's water pooling in your garden, you can literally put the crates in next to where the water's pooling, like so, and then it'll just drain straight into the crates. So from the grass, it drains into the crates. Jaw drowned. Why does the wee not smell when it goes into the soakaway? Yeah, so it's like an underground water butt, I suppose, if you wanted to put it like that. The wee doesn't smell when it goes into the ground, jaw drowned, because actually what happens is the bacteria and stuff break it down. So the bacteria breaks it down, and so because of that, it doesn't smell. So that there's like bacteria and other things in the soil, enzymes, stuff like that break it all down. So, but primarily that's why you use rainwater crates. But we're talking about rainwater and pooling here on the garden at the moment. And so, yes, some people can use a water butt. Water butts are okay. To be fair, water butts are okay. But to be honest, once they're full, aren't they? And unless you actually use the tap to open them, you can't actually, the water actually, you know, once it's full, it's full. But with a rainwater soakaway like so, it actually soaks up any excess rain like that. So, so when the crates are full, like so, they just basically from there, they just drain off into the soil. So once they're full, it just drains off into the soil. So if you imagine, here's your roof. So you got all this rain coming down off your roof, right? So number one, if you're putting a new extension or a conservatory or you're building a shed or a drive, by law now you have to put these rainwater soakaway kits in. So the rain comes down off the roof, right? It makes its way down the rainwater pipes, and then from there, as I said, it goes into something called a rainwater kit. And so it's just like a little reservoir, I suppose, if you wanted to put it like that. It's like a reservoir, so the water goes in there and then it can just drain away into the soil. So that's basically what a rainwater. Yeah, boggy garden. So what I mean by boggy garden, Milky, is like, say here, this is the water that would collect. This is where the circle is, right? So this is like an example of what it's like when the water pools in the garden. It can pool in the garden, and then it just drains from the garden like that into the crates. What happens with the poo? There's no poo in rainwater, so we're talking about rainwater soakaways today. Well, I'm going to talk about septic tanks in a bit, but primarily just for this particular moment, we're talking about rainwater soakaways, so not poo. But it's a good question, user 1234. What size septic tank and soakaway would you recommend for a garden room for 2 people with a bathroom and kitchen? Well, for that, jawed round, I would recommend, so let me just get this up, I'd recommend the 1 to 2 bedroom septic tank and soakaway kit. That's the one I'd recommend. Why? Because they're the smallest system. You get the government certificate with that. So you get so if I just show you what you get with that, jawed round, you get the tank, you get the pipes, you get the crates, drainage field crates, you get the membrane, and you get the inspection chamber. So if you want to see more of that, jawed round, just go on the internet and type in Builders Yard UK, and you'll see us come up the top there, Builders Yard UK, and we'll come up the top there. And it'll show you the different sizes of kits we do, if that makes sense, please. I bet you didn't see that then, did you? Hold on. There you go. So, sorry, I'll show you again. You probably couldn't see it. So, I'll start again. If you go to buildersyard.uk, then our website will come up. Then what you can do, you can scroll down to here, to the 1 to 2 bedroom septic tank kit. Yeah, let me show you again, right? Because it wasn't working. I just saw it wasn't working. So, you get the tank, you get the crates, you get the pipework, you get the membrane, and the inspection chamber. So, and it's free delivery. And so, the total footprint is about 18 foot long by about 8 foot wide. The tank itself is about 4.5, 5 foot deep. And so that's, if you want any other questions, then just email me, jawed round, at sales@buildersyard.uk. And I'll try and answer any more questions you've got, please. So Mrs. P, unless you have a high water table. Hello, Mrs. P. Well, interestingly, these particular rainwater kits are designed for high water tables. That's why they're so shallow. I mean, if I just show you how to put them in here. So this is pretty much what they look like, okay? So this is what the crates look like. So the crates, they're only about 400 mil in depth, right? So they're about 400 mil below the grass, which is ideal for really bad clay conditions. So these kind of crates are ideal for clay ground. But that's a good question, Missy P. But when the crates fill up, don't they bog the garden? Not if you do. Not if you put the right amount of crates in the right kind of conditions. Is this also what they use for outdoor overflow ponds? Also, yes, they are. So you can. It's almost like an overflow. So here, I mean, pooling in the garden are like little ponds, aren't they? And what it does, it diverts the water from the ground straight into the crates like that. So they can either be used for that, or they collect the rainwater that falls on the roof, straight from the roof, which can go straight down into the crates here. So they have quite a few uses, to be honest, these rainwater kits. They take about an hour to install. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, no problem at all. So so we're talking, if you just joined us, we're talking rainwater soakaway kits. So whether it's summer, you can collect the rain and put it into like a little reservoir in your garden. Oh, sorry. If it's winter, then they stop your garden from becoming boggy. So that's pretty much how they work. So if I just zoom out here, so this is typically what a rainwater kit looks like. If I show you how to put them in, so imagine here's your downpipe. It's not connected to anything yet, right? So it's not connected to anything. So there it is, right? So the first thing you do is dig a hole. You put in the soakaway mat just like that. And then here, once you've done that, Okay, that's what it looks like from head on. But once you've done that, you put something in called the bottle gully. So there's the bottle gully. Matty Morg, gee whiz, Neil Warnock has let himself go. Okay, so here's the bottle gully. So you put the bottle gully in like so. So you connect that to the rainwater pipe, and then you put the pipe in, 110 mil pipe. So it just fits straight onto the bottle gully like so. Now when you've done that, you can add as many pipes as you want to the existing pipe. And so what that does is the more pipes you put in, the further the rainwater soak away is going to be from your house. And once you've done that, you can then connect a rainwater crate to the end of the pipe, like so. So that's pretty much what it looks like. So the pipe literally just goes straight in to the rainwater kit, or the attenuation kits. So it just goes literally straight in like that. Now, once you've done that, right, you can then start adding the other rainwater crates. So you literally just start adding the crates next to the existing one. So they literally just go straight in like so, right? And so let me find out where they've gone. Hold on. Oh, here we go. There you go. So there. So this is like each of these crates is about 200 litres in capacity, and what that means is that we combined 6 crates is about 1.2 cubic meters. So RD's asking, where's the Taram? We're coming to that now, RD. There's the Taram. Look at that, RD. But that's a very good question, RD. So that's what it looks like. So if I just show you again, everyone, the crates literally just go in the ground like so, and then RD has mentioned you put the Taram on, or the membrane. So that's what it looks like. The pipe just beautifully connects straight into the Taram like so. That's what it looks like from a different angle. If I give you another different angle, and you just cover it with soil. So that's basically how it works, right? So that's how the Taram works. So basically, people asking me, why would you put a rainwater soak away in? Well, let's pretend that you're putting a driveway in and you don't want it to flood. Or let's pretend it's summer and you want to try and collect the rainwater. So what you do, you actually put in a rainwater, right, soak away. That's why they call it a rainwater soak away to collect the rainwater that's falling on your roof there. So that's pretty much why you'd put in a rainwater kit. Second reason you'd put one in is because let's say your garden pools in the winter, it's really boggy. The rainwater kits divert the water off the lawn and it drains straight from the lawn into the crates like so. So they have two uses from that perspective. And the kits come in different sizes. This is what the kits typically look like. And BTC, can I get one with a water pump to use the water? Yes, you can. You can put a water pump, you can put an inspection chamber kind of unit on the end of it and then pump up and water your garden. But to be honest with you, so if you imagine, right, it's rained, right, over the weekend, right? So it's rained over the weekend. And then the water's come down off the roof into the crates. If it's the summer, the water will actually drain from the crates into the parched soil. So they'll water the garden and the soil for you. You don't need a pump. You can put a pump in, but, this is actually watering the plants from the roots up. How do these crates hold water? That's a very, very good question. How do the crates hold water? I'll show you. Okay, so if we look at a hole, right? So let's say you're stacking the crates on top of one another like so. So they keep the integrity of the hole. So the water actually goes into these crates. So how they actually retain it, if I show you here, give you a close-up, they've actually got like a membrane that goes around the crates. So that stops the soil going into the crates, right? And then it slowly releases or regulates the water out of the crates. So it comes out of the crates. So if I just show you there with the Taram off, back into the soil. So it's like the water cycle. It rains, they go into the crates, it goes into the soil, it evaporates, goes back into the sky. So it's almost like a rainwater soak away cycle kit, if you wanted to call it that. So that's basically how it holds the water there. So if I just show you how they work. So imagine this is your house here, right? This is your house. And then this is the roof on your house here. So basically, and let's say your water's just going to come down your downpipe straight into your grass, into your soil. So what you do is this. You literally dig a hole like so. You put the soak away mat down like so. and then you put something in called a bottle gully. A bottle gully, right? That's what you do. So you put the bottle gully into the hole, and then you connect something called a 110 mil pipe, which is something like that. So you literally connect the pipe to it. Now, as we come out here, if I come out, so you can actually put these pipes at different lengths. Obviously, the longer they are, right? So you can have them short, but the longer they are, the further away the water will be away from the house. And then once you've done that, you can put the crate onto the end of it. So the actual crates themselves, right, if I just show you the pipe, 110 mil pipe, just goes straight into the rainwater crate, like so. Look at that. So it actually just goes straight in to the middle of it. So they've got like 110 mil holes. Now, once you've done that, you can then start adding the crates to the hole. So they keep the structure of the hole, but once you've put them in and you've put the teram around it, or the membrane, like so, then basically that stops the soil getting back in. So that's basically how rainwater crates work. Now, if you wanted to do a percolation test, this is the best way to do a percolation test, right? So basically, you find out where you want to put your soak away. Then you dig a hole below the soak away pipe to about 300 mil cubed. Then you fill it with water, like so. Now, once you've filled it with water, you then let it drain away overnight, and then you come back the next day, like so. Okay, so you come back the next day, and then you wait for the water to drop down a quarter of its original height. Then you start timing, or start your stopwatch at this point, and you start timing and waiting it for the water to fall 150 mil. So I'll say that again. So once it's dropped a quarter of its original height, like so, you then time it, the time it takes to drop down 150 mil. Then you stop your stopwatch there. And so let's say that took an hour. You convert it to seconds, which is about 3,600 seconds. Then you divide it by 150. And if it's between 1 and 99, then that means it's ideal for a rainwater soak away kit. So now we just come on to, so we've dealt with rainwater kits. So now we're just going to have a look at septic tank kits. So let me just see if I can bring this up to there. There we go. So now we're going to deal with septic tank kits. There we go. All right, so this is typically what we mean by septic tank kits. So if you live in a rural area, right, or you're off-grid, as people call it, then many places are connected to something called a septic tank. And this is pretty much what a septic tank looks like. So that's what it's connected to, right? So it connects to the property. Okay, and so all the poo and wee will leave your property and make its way into the septic tank. Okay, like so. And so these septic tank kits, they'll save you about 15 to 20,000 quid. And they're really, really easy to put in. So let me show you. So the hole itself's about 18 foot long by about 8 foot wide. So you drop the tank in literally like that. When you've done that, you put in the inspection chamber and the pipes, and then you put in the drainage field crates. You cover the drainage field crates with membrane, and then literally cover it with grass. It's as simple as this. So you'll see that there's a big difference between the old style septic tank, which is the white onion ones. People still put these onion ones in, but you know, it's madness. So this is what the modern septic tanks look like compared to the old septic tanks. What's the difference between the two? Well, the old style septic tanks, which looked like this, you had to put concrete on them, right? You had to put concrete on them. So they were like a nightmare, right? So this is what the old style systems look like, and people still put them in. And they cost about 1,000 quid. They cost about 1,000 quid to put in for the concrete, which is madness, you know. And so these days have long gone, thankfully. You know, you don't have to put concrete on these tanks anymore. But nevertheless, this is what these old tanks were this is what it was like to install them. Tom's asking, why am I so interested in this even if I don't need to install one? Well, I suppose it's interesting, Tom, isn't it? It's just an educational live broadcast, really, of what sewage systems were like in the UK up to present day. You know, after the modern sewers, there's a whole heritage behind these. But interesting comment. Thank you very much, Tom. But the point being is, so this is what the old onion tanks look like, and they had to put them and surround them in concrete, which is madness. And the drainage fields, they used to be the size of like a football field, right? And so that's pretty much. So if I compare the two now, so this is like this is what a modern septic tank system is now on the left compared to an old. So the old system is the onion thing on the right hand side, and the new system is the black one there on the left, right? So that's the difference in size now between the two systems. So why do you need a drainage field? That's a good point. So you imagine, right, if you imagine, Tom, that this is your house. So from your house you've got, if I just show you actually, Tom, look. So when you empty a bath, Tom, or you've gone for a poo or a wee, or you're flushing anything down the loo or the sinks, all the wastewater goes from there directly into the septic tank here. And then the solids and the sanitary towels and the condoms and everything will stay in the tank. And then all the liquid will make its way into what we call the soakaway. So if I just give you a close-up here, so all the liquid, so when you empty a bath, you get a relative displacement and it leaves there, and all the liquid drains into the crates, and then it can go straight from there into the soil. So basically the soakaway allows all the liquid to soak away, because if it didn't soak away, it would build up and it would have nowhere to go, right? So the soakaway allows the liquid to soak away. So that's the whole point of a drainage field. Now, it's slight. How clean is the liquid that goes through the soakaway? Very, very clean. Let me give you an illustration. So this is a sewage treatment plant. Now these work on electricity, and so all the poo and the wee will go leave the toilet and go into one of these things. Now they've got gears and cogs and pulleys and motors and bearings in, and that treats the sewage, right? And it allows it to go straight into like a watercourse, like a river or a stream, and that can discharge directly out from here right into a watercourse. So that's how clean a sewage treatment plant treats the sewage and the poo and the wee. Now a septic tank, if I come to a septic tank now, a septic tank, if you live 30 feet or nearer to a river or stream, then you have to put one of these in. If you live 31 or 32 feet away, then you put a septic tank and soakaway in. And when the liquid passes through the soil, to answer your question, it cleans it better than any other system on the earth. That's why the government loves septic tanks, because once it's gone through 30 feet of soil, it's clean enough, the liquid is clean enough to go straight into a river or stream or ditch. So that's how powerful the septic tanks are in cleaning, the sewage effluent, that's full of cholera and bacteria and stuff like that. So I hope that kind of answers your question there, but that's a very good question, and thank you very much for asking it. So yes, if you've just joined us, we're talking septic tanks, we're talking rainwater soakaways, we're talking sewage treatment plants, anything. So if you've got any questions about sewage systems or how they work, or how, to cost, people charge like 15, 18, 20,000 quid to install these kind of systems. And what's the average annual cost of emptying cost of the septic tank to, say, a 3-bedroomed house? That's a very good question. It depends where you live in the country. So it can cost anywhere from 100 to 300 quid a time. But with these modern septic tanks, these government approved ones, right, like this one, they only need emptying once every 5 or 10 years, because they've got worms inside them. They're like a worm system, okay? So they're like a worm-based sewage system, and they need emptying, never need emptying. So that's the difference, I suppose, between the two. So yeah, if you've just joined us, we're talking septic tanks and soakaways, we're talking sewage, we're talking rainwater soakaways. Many people ask me about why do you use soakaway crates? Well, I'll show you. So imagine you've got a hole, right, that you want to put your soakaway in, and you dig a hole, right? So you've just dug a hole in the garden. Now, if you look, you've got 100% cavity. What that means is it would fill with 100% of water, okay? So that's what a soakaway pit looks like. Now, interestingly, people think that if they fill it with gravel, it's going to help the soakaway somehow, but it doesn't. Let me show you, right? If you fill it with gravel like this, how much water do you think you can get in the hole? So that's how much you could get originally in the hole, but how much water do you think you can get in the hole by just, when you've put the gravel in there? I'll show you. That's how much water you're in. So with gravel, they're terrible for soakaways, right? Never use gravel or pea shingle for soakaways because they reduce the cavity from 100% to 5%. So that's why people put in something called crates. So these are the crates that go in the hole. So you put the crates in the hole like so, and they retain 95% of the original cavity, which means that you get 95% of liquid in the hole compared to 5% of liquid if you just used soil, gravel rather. So that's why you never should use gravel in soakaway pits. That's why everyone uses what is called rainwater soakaway crates or sewage crates. So that's pretty much how a soakaway works and why people use crates. So Crystal Lad, so this is the worst demonstration. So yeah, sorry I'm not as good as you as displaying things, Crypto Lad, but nevertheless you still get the point though. You still get the point. The point is, if you live next to a river, you're 30 feet or closer, then you've got to put something called a sewage treatment plant in, which looks like this. They basically run on electricity, and they're very good systems, but you know, and it allows them to go straight into rivers and watercourses. But the point is, if you don't live next to a river or a watercourse, then you'd go for something called like a septic tank and soakaway, which is what it is. So if you've got any questions about septic tanks and soakaways, oh, where can I see more? Oh, but Panslow, what's the depth between the ground level and the top of the crates? That's a very good question. So let me show you. So here is the septic tank soakaway, right? So it's about 500 mil. So the crates are only about, in fact on this, so let me show you. I've slightly put them slightly too deep for this illustration. So let me show you this. The actual crates themselves, that is probably more like it. So let me just adjust this while you're here. There we go. Look at that. So you can tell this is a live show. That is the depth of the soakaway crates below the grass there and below the soil line. So the crates are about 400 mil, so you need about 100 mil of soil on top of them. They've got a 60-ton bearing load, but that's pretty much the depth of the crates, if that makes sense. So they're really, really shallow, and that's why they work in heavy clay conditions, and they're really easy to install. You literally, as I said, you dig your hole, which looks something like this. Takes about, how you doing, Omar? Takes about 40 minutes to dig the hole. Is it just topsoil over the crates? That's another very good question. So let me show you. If we go back to here, so once you put the crates in, you then cover them with something called membrane. And when they're covered, it'll look something like so, right? So let me just reset that and put that there. So yeah, when you cover the crates with a membrane, it looks something like so, okay? And then basically that's how they look. And then when you've done that, if I give you an aerial view now, then you just cover everything over with soil. So that's what it looks like when it's covered over. So yes, it's topsoil over the crates, which covers everything over nicely. So yeah, so that's basically how to install them. With it's the same with the sewage treatment plant, even though they're electric and whatever. Literally, this is what they're like when they're covered with soil. So you can see that they're quite discreet, sitting in the water there, you know. So they sit beautifully in the water. So they make a bit of a hum and a bit of a noise, but they allow the liquid to go straight into watercourses. People asking me where can I see more information about the soakaway crates. I'll show you about the septic tank kits. I'll show you. So our website is we're a builders merchants. We're called Builders Yard UK. If you just go onto Google and type in Builders Yard UK, as I said, we're a builders merchant. I've been going 20 years. You'll see all the different products we sell there. But for argument's sake, for this instance, we do 1 to 2 bedroom septic tank kits, 3 to 4. And you can literally just click on there and you'll see tons of information, more information than you can shake a stick at about what you get with them. So with the septic tank kits, you get the tank, you get the pipe work, you get the drainage field crates, you get the membrane, and you get the inspection chamber. So you get everything with those. And the small ones, yeah, so they're like 15 grand cheaper than getting someone to put it in. So they start off at 3,499. So Builders Yard UK, buildersyard.uk, or just Buildersyard UK on Google if you want to see more information about them. So let me just come off there for a second and answer your questions again. There we go. So Panthro has asked, hello Clifton R. Wade. Do the septic tanks contain macerators? Well, in this instance, no, they don't. No, they don't contain macerators. So it's almost like a pea super in there, if you want to call it for a better expression. So if I just come into here, so the tanks themselves, it's almost like they've got baffles in there, so it separates the liquids from the solids. And so it's a pea super initially, and the baffles in there separate the liquids from the solids. So what that allows, that means that the solids can stay in the tank, and then the liquids can just go straight into the soakaway and then drain away. So no, they don't need macerators. If you want to put it that way, I suppose they've got organic macerators in, even in the onion tanks. I mean, this is a display of the new septic tanks compared to old septic tanks. This is typically what they look like. This is what an old style kind of septic tank would look like. They're made from fiberglass, and when you put them in, you had to put concrete around them, like so. So they were beasts to put in. So this is the difference now between, on the left here, you can see a modern looking septic tank compared to a traditional looking septic tank. So yes, so the systems have changed over the years. So if you just joined us, we're talking about septic tanks and soakaways. Hack attack only you forget to fill with water first. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But what happens, Hack Attack, as well, saying that, right, so coming back to the onion tanks and putting the concrete around them. Okay, so let's go with Hack Attack, right? So you've put your tank in and you filled it with water, which is a good point, Hack Attack. But what happens is people get them emptied, Hack Attack, right? And when they get them emptied and there's no concrete in them, they just pop straight out the ground. So you have to put the concrete in them, whether you put water in them first or not. But it is good to put water in them first, Hack Attack, because it keeps them grounded and it stops them, popping out the ground. Now, the difference between the new septic tanks, Hack Attack, is that you can see there's a completely different shape and design, Hack Attack, to them. So what that means is they don't pop out the ground, so you can put water in them or not put water in them, and they stay grounded. So this is pretty much what new septic tanks look like compared to old septic tank systems. So these kits that we're looking at here, so the kits come in. Yeah, thanks, Hack Attack. So the kits that we're looking at, people asking me about the kits that I'm looking at, so I will just show you. So we're talking, if you just joined us, we're talking about septic tank kits. If you're wondering who we are, we're Builders Yard UK. If you just type in Builders Yard UK into Google, we come up the top there. We're builders merchants. We sell loads of stuff, attenuation crates, septic tank kits, rainwater kits, etc. And basically, based on the number of bedrooms that you've got, you can buy the kits there. So they'll save you about 15, 20 grand. And the kits themselves only take about 3 hours to install. I'll show you how easy they are to put in. So if I just come back to the kit here, so the first thing you do is you would dig your hole. So that's the first thing you do. So you get your 3 or your 5 ton digger and you dig your hole like so. Now, once you've dug your hole, then you literally just drop the septic tank into the hole. You don't need any concrete. You don't need any electricity, anything like that. Then when you've done that, you then connect, you just push in the 110 mil pipe, right? And once you've done that, you can then put the drainage field crates in. They literally sit 400 mil below the grass, like so. That's pretty much, the depth of them. So they're really, really shallow, and they're really easy to put in. So once you've put those in, you then cover it all with a membrane. Now the membrane stops the soil going into the tanks, but allows the sewage effluent to drain away. So if I show you, so when the sewage effluent's in there, it can just drain through the membrane and drain into the soil. So that's what it looks like from up close. And when it's in, it looks something like that, this pretty pretty much when you've put it in. So this is typically what a septic tank looks like when you've put it in the ground. So if you imagine that's your house there, right? If you imagine that's your house, that's pretty much what a septic tank looks like. And they work very easy. So when you've had a bath, so if you all your bath water, all your toilet water, your sink water, when you've had a poo and a wee, it leaves the house and then it just makes its way into the septic tank system. And so these systems basically will save you 10, 15,000 quid. So that's why I love doing these live shows on the septic tank systems. Now, something else that we're going to look at now, so just coming off that for a second, so just let me come off the septic tank. So now we're going to have a look at the rainwater crates. Now, many people asking me about the rainwater systems, right? So let me explain about the rainwater system. So if I just come here. So imagine this is your house here. So you've got your rain coming off your roof. So this is basically how the rainwater soakaway kits work. So the rain will come onto your roof. It will then make its way down the guttering, right? So it makes its way down the guttering like so. And then when it makes its way down the guttering, oh, there you go. Then it goes down the pipes and it goes into something called rainwater crates. And this is pretty much what the rainwater crates look like. So they literally, so I'll just show you again, basically they capture all the rainwater that comes off the roof, that comes down the gully, comes down the pipes, and the rainwater is then captured into something called rainwater crates. So this is called a rainwater soakaway kit. And they're great because if you want to capture your rainwater and water your garden in the summer months, then that's what it will do. You know, so if you've got parched garden, this is great. By law, people have to put these in now, but this is pretty much how the rainwater soakaway crates work. So the water goes in and it drains out. So it's very, 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 very clever. Also, the crates work as well brilliantly, these rainwater crates, if you've got a boggy garden. So let's say your garden is pooling. So let's say this is the water pooling in your garden here, right? If you put the crates in the rainwater soakaway, it drains the excess water out the garden and they go straight into the crates like so. So they serve quite a few uses, to be honest. So they're very, very interesting. Someone's asking me, how do you put the crates in? Well, I'll show you. So imagine this is your downpipe. Now, as you can see, there's nothing here. The rainwater is just going to come down and it's going to drain straight onto the yard, right, or the grass. So what you do is you dig a hole like so, very small hole. You then put a soakaway mat down, and then the next thing is you put something in called a rainwater gully. Yeah. So this is like a bottle gully or a rainwater gully, as you call them. And yeah, no problem, Panthro, thank you. And so you put the rainwater gully in there, and then you connect the pipe work, 110 mil pipe straight to that. Now, depending on how far away from the house you want to put the rainwater kit, depends on the length of pipe from the house. But let's say we just go 2 lengths in this regard for argument's sake. Then on the end of that, you put the soakaway crate in, like so, okay? So the soakaway crate literally fits straight onto the end of the pipe there. Okay, so now once it's done that, this is what it looks like from a side view. So these crates are really, really shallow. They're about 400 mil below the grass, and they've got about a 60-ton bearing load. And the beauty with these crates is that the pipe just slots straight into the center of them. So this is why they only take about an hour or so to put in. So once you've done that, you then actually can just start adding the crates. So here we go. Let's start adding the crates. So you put 1 crate in, you can put 2 crates in, 3 crates in. You've got now 4 crates, 5 crates, and 6 crates. So that's how easy, literally, they are to install the crates. It really is that simple. And once you've done that, you can then add the membrane, like so. And so the membrane is just like a breathable taram, and that's what the pipe looks like as it heads into the membrane there. So it allows the rainwater to actually go into it, but it allows the rainwater to drain away, but stops the soil going back into it, if that makes sense. So that's pretty how much they work. So if I come back to here, this is pretty. So once you've done that, this is what it should look like, right? So your rainwater comes down the downpipe, comes like that, down the pipes, and then straight into the crates like that. So that's pretty much how rainwater soakaway works, which is really, really interesting. Someone's asking me, how do you know that you've got soil suitable? All right, well, you've got to do something called, Fobster's asking, with 50 mil soil on top. Okay, so good question there, Fobster. So let me just come back and answer your question there, please. So let's say these are our crates here, Fobster, right? So the crates themselves are about 400 mil deep, right? They're 400 mil deep. So they only need to go like literally 500 mil from the top of the grass, right, to the bottom of the hole. So literally 50 mil or 100 mil, yeah, of soil on top. Kaylee's asking, how do you dig the hole? Can I put them in my neighbour's garden? You can put them anywhere, Kaylee. You just to dig the hole, you use something just like a 3 or a 5 ton digger. This is what the diggers look like, something like that. So you just get a mini excavator like this, and and you can hire them, 50, 60, 70 quid a day, and you just get yourself a little mini digger. Or if you've got someone who's willing to dig the hole for you, the hole pretty much looks something like that. So you just dig the hole, just coming out a bit there. That's what the hole would look like from that angle, okay? And you literally just dig it. It'd take you about half an hour to dig the hole because they're really, really, really shallow. And once you've done that, once you've dug the hole, you're literally there, Kaylee. So how much are we talking about for 8? That's a very good question there, Kaylee. So if I just show you this then, Kaylee. So my name's Grant from Builders Yard. That's who we are, Builders Yard UK. If you go onto Google and type in Builders Yard UK, we'll come up number 1, or my URL is buildersyard.uk. So it doesn't matter. But when you go on there, you'll see you've got attenuation crates there. But if you scroll down, you'll see the rainwater kits there. And in answer to your question, just click on that. So 8 twos are 16. So you'd need for 8, you'd need a 1.6 cubic meter kit. So if I just click on that, so that's what you get. You get 3 lengths of pipe. You get 8 crates. You get the membrane. You get the tape, and basically these are 60-ton bearing loads. So the price is they're $699 delivered. That includes VAT, that includes delivery, and that's for the top of the range rainwater kits there. So they're fantastic value for money. They really, really are. Kaylee, we're putting in a patio now and need something to join the eco drains. Well, here you go. These rainwater kits. So they're all environmental agency approved. The British regs approved. They got more BS standards than you can shape a stick at. But the point is, which is handy about these kits, you get everything with it. So if I just come back to here now, Kaylee, and show you this, coming back to here, Kaylee. So if I just show you this, Kaylee, look, if I just come back to the video here. So this is pretty much what you're getting. So you've got your rainwater, Kaylee, coming off the roof. So they're going to come down the soil stack there, and basically, so they'll come down the pipes, and this is what it looks like when it's installed there, Kaylee. So basically, you're getting all the pipe work, you're getting the crates, and with all that as well, Kaylee. So if I just show you here, look, you get all that. And you get the membrane as well. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, if I show you, that's pretty much what it looks like when you've put it in. And yeah, they'll take you. If that takes you an hour to install, I'll buy you a pint. But they take about an hour all in to install, Kaylee. Paul Dillon, 5 meters away from any building and about 1.5 meters down, and you need council approved. So Paul Dillon, thank you very much for your comments there. Whilst Paul is giving his opinion there is no law about distance of soakaways from buildings. There's no law. Building regs, it says there is a guidance document. It says in paragraph 1 of building regs, it's illegal to infer or impute that any of the guidance suggestions here are enforceable, because they're not. So people typically put them 3 to 5 meters away because they don't want to get damp on their building. So there's no law as to the depth of rainwater soakaways or the distance from my house. But Paul, I really appreciate your comments there. I used to think the same, to be honest with you. Kaylee, at Paul Dillon, they wouldn't work for us then. Oh yeah, well, if Paul was correct then, Kaylee, but he's not correct. So that's the point. So you get a lot of misinformation on the internet, and it's no one's fault. No one's trying to deceive or be deceitful there. But there is no laws regarding distance or depth there. So yeah. So anyway, so that is that. But yes. So if you've just joined us, we're talking soakaway crates, rainwater soakaway kits. So now, people asking me, how do you install them? Well, I'll show you. This is how you install them. So basically, that you dig your hole like so. Then when you've done that, you put something in called a soakaway mat. So the soakaway mat looks something like that. So, and that's what your hole will look like, okay? So once you've done that, you then put in something called a rainwater gully. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So it's like a rainwater gully. All right, so that goes straight into the hole. And then once you've done that, you put a 110mm pipe, connect it to it, like so. So it really is that simple, right? So you connect the pipe to it. Now, depending on how far away the soakaway needs to be from the property, so in this instance, I'm just using 2 pipes, which is about, each pipe is 3 meters. So this is about 6 meters away from the property as it stands, right? So that's about 6 meters away from the property. Then once you've done that, you can then put a rainwater crate into it, like so. So the rainwater crates, these rainwater crates, they've got about a 60-ton bearing load. And they're really, really easy to install. They literally, if I show you how they fit on, you literally just put the orange pipe straight into the cranes like that. I got stung by the council for my builder doing it wrong, and the building law now. So Paul, appreciate you. I don't know where you appreciate your comments, Paul, and you may have got stung by rubbish builders and stuff like that, but thankfully, you know, there is no law regarding rainwater soakaways. So whilst you may have got stung by them, Paul, building regs isn't a law. So, you know, but thank you very much for your comments there. Shingle, you don't need shingle with these. If I show you why, many people think that using shingle or gravel actually helps, right? Helps in soaking away or percolation. They're utterly wrong. So you imagine you dig a hole, right? Now you've got 100% cavity there. So that means you could have 100% water in there. So let me show you how much water you get in when you fill it with gravel. So you go from 100% cavity to a 5% cavity if you use gravel, right? So I'll show you that again. There's your hole, 100% cavity. That's what it would look like when the water was in it, 100% load of water. And then when you put the gravel in, you're down to 5% of the original cavity. So that's why you should never use gravel or shingle with soakaways. Instead, this is why people use rainwater crates now, right? Rainwater soakaway crates, because they retain 95% of the original cavity. So unlike gravel, where you only like retain, so you'd have to make the soakaway 5 times bigger, right? 5, maybe even 10 times bigger if you put gravel in compared to a hole using rainwater crates. But listen, I love your questions, everyone. How's it going, mate? Hello, William Group 1. Good speaking to you. What about a sheep to wrap around it to stop dirt and other stuff preventing it from getting in? Listen, I love your questions, everyone here. They're fantastic. So let's say then, Thompson, Mitch, let's say these are your crates that you've just put in. He's 100% correct. Once you've done that, you then cover it with membrane. So this is what comes with the kit. So the kits here that you get the crates, you get the pipes, you get the membrane, you get the tape and the soakaway mats. And of course, combined, it allows you to create a soakaway, and you put the membrane on. That's what it looks like from another angle. And then you cover it with soil just like that. So people asking, what's a rainwater soakaway? Well, I'll show you. So basically, a rainwater soakaway allows you to capture the rainwater that comes off your roof. So when it does, what happens then is that the rainwater will make its way down the pipe, right, down the pipes like this, and then down the pipes straight into the rainwater soakaway. So that's pretty much why you'd put a rainwater soakaway kit in, right? So it allows your garden to be to be watered in the summer. Paul Dillon, Paul, you keep saying all this about being council approved. I'll be honest with you. You keep saying the same thing over and over, Paul. So I'm not going to mention your comments anymore because you get loads and loads of armchair critics in this, and you're just coming across as an armchair critic, Paul. So I'm just going to remove you from the chat unless you actually give me some links and some basis instead of putting your own opinion in there and undermining the troops. I don't mind people having different opinions and stuff like that. I'm always learning, and so sometimes I am wrong about things. But when you're dealing with building regs and building control, I like to keep this live forum transparent and clean, so I can back up everything I'm saying. So, for example, people say to me, "Oh, what's the law on this? What's the law on that?" And so that's why I have documents like this at the ready, right? So I'll show you. So I have documents like this at the ready to dispute what people say. So this is something called, so if I show you here, hold on, bear with me 2 seconds. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'll show you. Okay, so there you go. So this is the general binding rules, right? And it says anyone can use crate systems for rainwater and stuff like that. And so it completely disagrees with what you're saying, Paul. So either you speak the truth and stop misleading people, otherwise I'll just mute you, Paul. But thank you very much, everyone, for your comments. Hey, mate, did I see your design? I did see your design, Lamp, and it was amazing. I loved your design. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. Apologies if I didn't get back to you. It's just I'm inundated with emails and I can't respond to them all very quickly. So thank you very much. I really did like that. So if you've just joined us, right, we're talking about rainwater soakways. People asking, why do you need one? So I'll show you. So it rains, right? So let's say it's summer months, it's grounds, it's parched, hose pipe ban on. This is basically what the rainwater soakaway kit does. It allows the rainwater to travel down from the roof and goes into... see you, Thompson Mitch. Have a good day, mate. I hope you have a good day as well, Thompson Mitch. Thank you very much for that. So we're talking rainwater soakaway kits. People asking me where can they see the kits? Well, I will tell you. All right, so we are called Builders Yard. That's our kind of website. We're kind of like builders merchants. We've been going for about 20 years. Building regs approved, and you just go onto Google and type in Builders Yard UK and we'll come up there, Builders Yard UK, and we do tons of things: attenuation crates, rainwater crates, septic tank and soakaway kits, rainwater soakaway kits. So this is what we're talking about today, rainwater soakaway kits. Just click on there and then you'll see different size rainwater kits. The rainwater kits that we're talking about today are really cheap. You get the pipes, you get the crates, you get the membrane, you get the soakaway mats, you get the tape, you get free delivery, and they're just $4.99. So really, really, really good deals on top quality rainwater kits. They've got a 60-ton bearing load. 60-ton bearing load. It's nuts, but that's why we do the best deals here. That's why we do the best deals in the UK, because we can, because the manufacturers love us. So Noskov, hello. Why rainwater kit again? Can't you do a septic tank live today? Well, listen, Noskov, just for you, right, Noskov, I'm gonna do septic tanks for Noskov. There you go. Your wish is my command, Noskov. There we go. So Noskov wants to talk about septic tank kits. So yeah, here we go. So this is a septic tank. So people ask me, why and how does a septic tank work? Well, okay, being pretty blunt with you now. When you have a bath, everyone, or when you go to the loo, or when you use the dishwasher, the washing machine, or the sink, all your number ones, your number twos, and all that horrible stuff, right? They leave your house and they make their way into something called a septic tank and soakaway. And this is pretty much what a septic tank and soakaway looks like. Okay, so that's pretty much what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. So there's a typical house. You're off-grid in the UK. This is what it looks like. Okay, so there you go. So that's pretty much what a septic tank and soakaway does, and that's what it's for. Many people ask me, how do you install them then, Grant? How do you install them? Well, I'll show you how you install it. First thing you've got to do is dig a hole. So get yourself a 3-ton or a 5-ton mini digger and dig yourself a hole. Now the hole only needs to be 18 foot long by about 8 foot wide, about 4.5, 5 foot deep for the tank, and about 1.5 foot for the soak away, right? Okay, now when you've done that, it takes you about 40 minutes to do that. You then can drop in right here. And hey, Noskov, I tell you, I got a question for you, right? You know, in TikTok Live, as you kind of progress during the live shows, it says you have to, you can have a co-host, right? And by having a co-host, I don't know, it helps you flipping progress in your live progression. So if you want to be a co-host, I'm very happy for you to be a co-host, but I don't know how to make you a co-host. So anyway, I thought I'd put that question to you because you seem TikTok savvy, right? But anyway, coming back to putting these septic tanks in, so you dig a hole like that. You dig a hole right like that, right? And that's what the hole looks like. So you drop the tank in. The tank itself, all right, no problem, Noskov. You got the tank's literally 4.5, 5 feet below the grass. So they just drop straight in the ground like so, right? Then when you've done that, you can connect the inspection chamber and the pipes to them, so that the pipes literally just slot in. The inspection chamber is almost like a silt chamber, so sanitary towels, condoms, and baby wipes, wet wipes, and all that kind of stuff, they get trapped in there, so you can just take the lid off, pull them out, and saves you spending 800 quid with Dino Rod when your system gets blocked, because some people for some reason put nappies down there, right? Now once you've done that, then you can put the soak away drainage field crates in. What's the dimensions on the what are the dimensions, William Group 01, what's the dimensions on the Razor's sort of pad the soak away sit on? All right, so basically all I've done there, William, right, is just for illustrative purposes. So in answer to your question, oh right, okay, so the tank itself is about 4.3 feet tall, right? So not very tall. Now the soak away crates, they're 400 mil in height. So the actual depth of the height from here to here is about 500 mil. So they're designed for like really heavy clay areas. So it means they're designed to work in any soil situation, to be honest. So 500 mil, basically. And you can set your own levels with the pipe work as well, which is brilliant about these kits. No problem. People asking me about the kits. Hello, Sherry Baby. People asking me where can you see the kits. Well, again, I'll just show you quickly. We're Builders Yard. So if you just go on Google and type in Builders Yard UK, we'll come up number one there, Builders Yard UK. And then you can go on our site and you'll see here we do different tons of different stuff in the building and drainage industry. But the point is, if the septic tank and soak away kit is going to be based on the number of bedrooms you've got. So in this instance, let's say you've got a 1 to 2 bedroom property, you'd go for a 1 to 2 kit. Now, most installers, suppliers and installers will charge you 15, 18, 20,000 quid. This is the reason I do these, is because you'll save yourself 17,000 quid with these kits. You get everything with it. So you get the tank, you get the soak away. So there you go. You get the tank, you get the pipes, you get the soak away, you get the membrane, you get the inspection chamber. So they really are on a bargain. Look, saving 17,000 quid is no mean feat. And that's why they're so popular. And that's why I do the live shows, because I love helping people to save money. So hi, Sherry Baby. And so, yes, if you just joined us, Sherry Baby, I don't know if it's your cup of tea, but we're talking septic tanks at the moment and soakaways, because lots of people are off grid or putting glamping pods in, or shepherd's huts. Maybe you've got a septic tank that doesn't work anymore and you've been charged 20,000 quid to replace it. Well, if you have, then these kits will save you 15,000 quid. I rent, unfortunately. I'd love to go off grid. Yeah, I mean, I used to be off grid. I'm not anymore, but I put these systems in for people who are off grid, and these kits are saving people like 15, 20,000 quid. So that's why we're plugging them at the moment. Everyone seems to be putting them in during the summer months, because, you know, the ground's dry and it's easy to dig. Interesting to learn, though. No problem, Sherry Baby. Really appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. So yes, so this is what the old style septic tank systems used to look like. these big bulbous white tanks. Oh, William Group. So for glamping pods, one bed, you could have 2 pods going into one septic tank, 100%. So with glamping pods and shepherd huts, you know, you need to put something that's government approved. So these systems we sell are all government approved and come with a government certificate. So if you've got a glamping pods or shepherd huts, you can actually fit 3 shepherd huts to the 1 to 2 bedroom one, yes. And so then once you've done that, you just hand the government certificate to the Environmental Agency of Building Regs, and they're like, oh, well done, William. They sign it off, job done, like. So, yeah, this is the real McCoy. Sherry baby, no problem. Thanks for educating us. I may need this in the future. I'll definitely remember you. I'll remember you too, Sherry baby, and thank you very much for your lovely comments. Have a lovely day. And so, yes, so this is the difference between, so many people, if you go to a builder's yard now, Jewson's or Travis Perkins, you can still buy these onion tanks now. So let me show you why the onion tanks are just like false economy. So if you buy an onion tank, this is typically what an onion tank system will look like, right? When you put it in, they're like, oh man, they're like massive, right? But you've got to put these massive concrete blankets around the onion tanks. If you don't do that, they pop out the ground. So people think, oh, I'm going to buy an onion tank, right? And it'll be really cheap to install, but they're not. You've got to spend like 1,000, 1,500 quid on a concrete blanket. And then when you've done that, when you've done SM, you have some fancy graphics and a mystery garden setups. Yeah, I mean, I just try and I have no idea what anything is. Looks like a vase. All right, so what it is, it's a septic tank. So we're just talking septic tanks. So these septic tanks here are new and old. The new one is the black one. The old one is the white one. And lots of people still put these white ones in. And I'm just explaining to people the folly of doing so, because these white ones, you've got to put like a massive concrete blanket around them, right? And the drainage field, right, the soakaway is like the size of a football field. So that's the old system. So let me show you the new and the old now. So there you go. So the new on the left is the black, the new septic tank systems, right? And the one in the white is the traditional septic tank system. So you can see the different. The white one costs like 5 times more to put in, yet people still put it in, and I don't understand why. It's mad, because the new systems, the one that's black there to the left, they're the popular systems, and they're gaining more popularity, but it's taken people a while to catch on, right? So this is why I do the live shows. William Group, yeah, much better and smaller, the new ones. Thank you, Sherry baby. William, I was on site. We built a cul-de-sac of bungalows. They had onions there, all on the same tank. Yeah, it's nuts, it is, William. You see, the thing is, the builders, I suppose, because they're not having to empty the tank all the time. And these tanks, right, to empty, you can see the difference in size. The black one here is about 3,000 litres. These are about 12, 15, 18,000 litre tanks. They cost like 1,000 quid a time to empty. No one in their right mind would put one in their own property, but builders, right, not mocking the builders, by the way, but if they build a cul-de-sac, they'll shove one of these in because they don't have to pay for emptying it, you know. But the people who live there are like, oh no, why did I move into a house with an onion septic tank? So yes, so that's basically the difference between a modern system and an old system. I do get it, because the gardens were tiny, and if they get everyone has to suffer with a blockage. Yeah, so no, quite right there, William. So this is why I do the live shows, William. Obviously, look, I'm showing people what they can install and a septic tank and soakaway kits. We sell them, of course I do, yeah. But I'm also showing people the pitfalls. It's like, look, this is a sewage treatment plant, right? And these sewage treatment plants, basically, if you live 30 feet within 30 feet of a watercourse, you've got to put something called a sewage treatment plant. So all the poo and the wee and the horrible stuff go into these things called a sewage treatment plant. But what it means is, it means the sewage effluent can go straight into a watercourse, straight out the pipe into the river. Okay, so they're legal for discharging straight into rivers and streams and stuff. But the trouble is, though, what they don't tell you is that, you know, these run on electricity, so they've got gears and cogs and pulleys and belts and motors and shafts and all kinds. They cost 1,000 quid a year to run. In 10 years, they cost you 10,000 quid to run. They're like, why? You know, you can buy non-electrical versions of these, but the industry in this country, for some reason, is like flipping in the dark ages still, and And yeah, so it really annoys me that people are conned into buying stuff like treatment plants that cost lots of money, you know, to run. Yes, it does cost a fortune. Not all systems are as bad. I mean, the Tri-Cell's quite good, to be honest, but some systems are a nightmare. But I'm not trying to demonise treatment plants, but for me, this is why I love septic tank kits and septic tank systems. Amir, this guy has no idea what he's on about. He's just spouting jargon worms. Well, listen, Amir, please ask me a question. I'd love to answer your questions. So please, listen, put me to the test. A lot of my talking is done because I'm nervous or no one's asking me any questions. But listen, I appreciate what you're saying, Amir. Thank you very much for your lovely comments there. Maybe you'd like to ask me a question that I could answer for you, Amir. Instead of maybe insulting me, maybe you could pick my brains and ask me a question and I could help you to save some money. Yes. All right. Hasbullah la 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 la. Mate, keep it up. Keep with what you're doing. Very interesting. Now, thank you very much. Hasbullah la 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 la. I really appreciate that. Now, you get lots of people come on and insult you and stuff like that. And, you know, but look, all I'm trying to do is save people money. That's all I'm trying to do. If people who try and get septic tanks put in, right, they're spending out 15, 20, 25,000 quid, and these kits will save people 15 to 25,000 quid, and that's why I love doing these live shows. I just want to help people save money, you know. And so that's my main kind of intention here, and just educating people. So look, we've talked about septic tanks for a while now, so I'm coming off here and I'm going back on to another popular one, which is William Group. I love soakaway and tanks, nice easy jobs to get in and do, and I think they're fascinating. I really appreciate that William Group one. I really do. And but this is another reason why I talk about these things, right? So we're talking about rainwater soakaway kits. So it's a different kind of soakaway, right? Different kind of soakaway, but it is a rainwater soakaway. So let's say you've got a semi-detached house. Maybe you join together, right? Two semis as one, right? But the point being is, both of you have got a roof. Now, when it rains, that rainwater's got to go somewhere. Now, the law has changed now in this country, right? If you're putting an extension on, if you are putting a garage on, if you're doing a drive or anything like that, you've now got to put in an attenuation tank or a rainwater kit by law. And this is pretty much how they work now. So if I just show you, so the rain will come off the roof and then it goes down the downpipe like so, and it goes into something called a rainwater soakaway. So here's a rainwater soakaway. So this is pretty much what a rainwater soakaway looks like. And so the rainwater now can come off your roof and go straight into your soakaway here. So why is that good? Well, in the summer months, it can actually water your garden, right? And in the winter months, when the lawn is pooling, let's say it's winter now, right? And you've got lots of soggy lawns, stuff like that. The actual drain, the liquid will drain from the grass straight into the crates. So it's actually got a twofold kind of benefits there, to kill two birds with one stone, and they're really easy to put in. So literally, from where you've got your downpipe, you come down to where your downpipe is, and then basically from there you just dig a hole like so. So that's like what the hole would look like, okay? And then once you've got the hole like so, you then put something called a soakaway mat into it. And then once you've done that, you then put something called a rainwater gully into it. So the rainwater gully is like this orange thing that sits on the downpipe there, so like so. Okay, so that's pretty much what it looks like, okay? And so then you just connect your 110 mil pipe into the rainwater gully. All right, so once you've done that, you can then decide how many pipes you want to connect to the pipe coming off the gully. So in this instance, we've done it 6 meters away. And when you've done that, you can then put on your soakaway crate like so. And then when you've done that, so this is what the crate basically looks like, the orange pipe literally just goes straight into the crates like so. And this is how easy they are to install. You literally add 1 crate, 2 crates, 3 crates, 4 crates, 5 crates, 6 crates, okay, like that. And then when you've done that, you can then cover it over with membrane like so. And so the pipe beautifully fits into the membrane like so. So it stops the soil going in, right, but it allows the water to come out. So it pretty much, so that's what it looks like from a different angle like so. And then when you've done that, you literally just cover it over with soil. So there you go. So that is how you get your rainwater into a soakaway crate. So the different crates we do different kits. So on the last word on this now, so if you want to know who we are, we're Builders Yard. If you just go onto Google and type in Builders Yard UK, Builders Yard UK will come up number 1. We're builders merchants, and you'll see we do tons of different things to do with sewage and rainwater here. But the point is, the rainwater kits are here. If you just click that, then you'll see different size rainwater kits you can get. In this instance, this particular kit, you get 5 crates, the pipe work, membrane, you get the mats and the tape. So they're like $4.99. So considering they only take an hour to put in, they're just and have a 60-ton bearing load, they're really, really great deal. Great deal. I think they're about almost half the price of what they'd cost you on Google and the internet right now. But listen, thank you very, very much for taking the time to watch my live broadcast today. I'm going to be back later, about 6 o'clock, something like that. But now, it's hot. I'm going to have a nice, great cool drink of water. Great life, Grant. Have a good day, mate. You have a good one as well, William. Good speaking to you. Thank you very much. And I may see you later. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your lovely comments. Bye-bye.